So now when we're done with that step one, what's the transition into this stage two of the whole thing?
Sure.
Do we need to do financing? Do we need to buy it outright? Do we go get a HELOC on it and flip it around? Or if we just bought the house, do we write it into the current loan and we just build it right when we buy the house?
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure there's all different kind of ways you can get involved with this, but what would be a logical step two in this after the study's over?
The best way to do this, step two must be financing. Okay. It makes no sense to get into this project only to find out you can't qualify for the financing, right?
Okay.
So always start with the financing. Once you have your feasibility study, you know how much this thing could potentially cost. Now you know how much to ask for from a lender. Figure out if you can get qualified for that much. There's plenty of lenders who know how to finance these ADU deals. Okay.
Is this a different kind of lending?
No, you could do this with conventional lending. You could do it with a home equity line of credit, cash out refinance, a construction or remodel loan. Oh. That's really, really popular with these ADUs, and I'd love to talk about that.
Cool.
But for right now, the point is you've got to have that financing conversation up front, and that needs to be the guiding factor as to what your budget is. Therefore, this is what you can afford to build, or this is what you cannot afford. Mm-hmm. So step two is financing.
Who's got my money?
That's right.
You go get some money and you builder's going to build.
That's right. So then after you've got the financing piece figured out, step three really is the design phase. So you can start your design phase with either a draftsman or an architect. There's a difference. Ooh. It's like a lawyer versus a legal assistant, if you will.
Oh, so who's the...
Or a CPA versus a bookkeeper. Okay. So an architect, you're going to get what you pay for. Architects are twice as much, but they come to the table with years and years of technical experience. Okay. The level of detail in their plans is going to be greater than a draftsman. But here's the reality. We're not building the Eiffel Tower in your backyard. It's an ADU. It's a tiny house in your backyard.
Right.
You don't have to have that level of detail. And I know I'm not going to win myself any friends amongst architects right now, but the reality is this. Yeah. You do not need architects for an ADU. So if there's any place to save yourself some money, bam, it's right there. I literally just saved you $5,000 for telling you you don't need an architect, go with a draftsman.
Wow.
Now, you want to vet your draftsman and make sure that you're working with somebody who's really good, has maybe done ADUs.
Do you have a draftsman? Are you a draftsman?
I've got two draftsmen.
You got two draftsmen.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
I've got an architect.
Oh, shit. You got them all.
There are times when we do need to bring in an architect, and I'll share with you an example.
Yeah.
So HOAs, there's a rule out there, AB 670, where it clearly states that HOAs cannot stop ADUs from happening, right?
Really?
However, HOAs can, and they have the right to review the plans. They have a right to know what's going on. They have a right to have their level of requirements. And one of them often is they want plans signed off by an architect. Okay. Well, in my situation, over at ADU Geeks with our architect, he will gladly review the plan, sign off on it, but it's a way that we save the client money by not immediately bringing the big dog to the table when it's not needed.
Is this, you would have the draftsman draft it and the architect sign it and boom?
Yes.
Instead of the architect building it all.
The draftsman would draw most of it.
You just get approved.
And during the design process, the architect is supervising the process all the way through.
Okay.
And then he's able to sign off at the very end. So that's how we do it. That's not how everybody does it. Point being is, if you're doing the ADU, you just know from a design perspective, you do not have to have an architect. And that's the only point I want to make.
Yeah, so what are you kind of doing in an ADU? You were working with 1,200 square feet max, and then so we come in, we put in 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom?
You could do up to 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms.
1,200 square feet. That's plenty of space.
Okay.
Plenty of space.